Meanwhile, let's see what Splice can bring to the table, because we will be seeing the Qiyana jungle once again. Typically, early pathing from a Qiyana jungle looks very much like you clear one side of the map, then you can either look for an early base or you can look for an early gank. Right now, he is starting on the red buff, so his options are to do red into Raptors into Krugs, and then he can maybe look for a bot lane gank, maybe he looks for a mid lane gank, or maybe he looks for a base. Alternatively, he could look to try and secure all of his neutral objectives, but then it slows his clear down. So I think it's much safer for champions that have weaker clear speed and overall weaker early levels to just try and do this full clear around one side of the map.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on Xerxes as he does go through his jungle pathing, but the other people we have to make the audience aware of and keep our awareness on towards, eyes on is probably the sentence I was going for, has to be CHÂU and Expect. They team up so often for this XL lineup, and they are really the way that XL wins games. This is their stats in wins. You can see both of them have very high kill participation. They have high kills and assists at the 15-minute mark, and they're where XL get most of their gold lead when they're winning.
And typically, Expect has showcased over this split that he knows what to do with the lead, and he knows how to pressure, and something that Ender brought up earlier on was that he likes to roam a lot. So once he has an advantage, he brings it out onto the rest of the map as well. And this is something that a lot of top laners don't do, but it can be very valuable, because a lot of the meta right now revolves around just moving a lot, and primarily moving around mid so you can secure that mid tower as quickly as possible. And this is a trait and a value that I think makes Expect very strong as a top laner, and when you have an early game jungler like CHÂU, it only makes sense to try and facilitate that kind of playstyle. So when they are able to work together, I think it showcased last week what they are capable of, rather.
Yeah, we currently see CHÂU using the fact that Mickey has the push in mid to go in towards Xerxes' jungle. Mickey trading with Humanoid, but CHÂU is around this blue buff, and Xerxes has yet to start it up. Not sure if he's been spotted as of yet. Xerxes just going to step around and the flag comes down, and now that Qiyana will be aware something's going on. Shape Splitter was used in the top lane as the fight begins. Nico caught out just a little bit here. Expect chased down by Vizicachi. Xerxes on his way.
Gonna try and kill him.
Looking for the stun. Will land the root and he gets the kill. Edge of Ishtar finds its mark and Xerxes comes out 1-0.
The thing is, the moment you land that EQ combo, the Q does not miss. Expect needed to flash sooner. It allowed Xerxes to land the root, land the reset of the Q, and find that execute. Beautiful early start. A bit of disrespect coming out from the side of Expect, and the laner that we like to see get ahead from the side of XL is immediately put behind by Xerxes.
He's going to struggle in this lane now. No flash, no teleport. Chachi able to keep both of his summoners up. Xerxes didn't even have to burn a flash of his own. And you can see CHÂU immediately says, okay, well, I'm going to look around this mid instead, see if Mickey can help me out on this invade. He's going to push in towards this blue buff. Xerxes yet to do it. He's yet to get back to base either. And CHÂU just trying to go in. Smite comes down. Xerxes is going to take a little bit of a trade, but Humanoid is the first to react from mid, and so CHÅU won't be able to stay around too much longer. The ward comes down, and CHÅU, you have to feel, wants to back away from this one. It feels a little bit greedy to stay around any further.
Well, if nothing else, he's generated a lot of pressure, which has forced Humanoid to back off, and has allowed Mickey the time to base and actually get back into lane without giving Humanoid the opportunity to bounce back. This gives Mickey a good setup initially on the lane, and you can see how great, or how much better this matchup is for the Irelia now that the shield is only a magic damage shield on the side of Sylas, which is allowing Mickey to build up a massive early CS advantage. So playing this matchup extremely well for the time being, and it feels like overall, XL, they're generating a lot of pressure both in top lane and in the mid lane.
That has been the story of XL over the last few weeks. Meanwhile, in the bottom side, pretty much honors even between these two laners. Not really too much to be expected from a Sivir Nautilus into Tahm Kench Ezreal.
Player on the bot side of the map, and it's important that they gain control over the river.
Hook does land.
Yeah, Mystique's a little bit greedy here. The hook's going to land. He has to flash the wall, and Splice will be happy enough just getting the flash out. Mickey's trading in the mid lane, not yet level 6, so doesn't have the Vanguard's edge, but can continue just to harass down Humanoid.
Greed is a good word for it, Medic, because Splice were in a position where they had priority over the river, and they couldn't quite set up a collapse onto Kobbe and Norscarin, which meant that Mystique's trying to make that play happen. It was a very easy option for Splice to basically just turn and attack the weak flank. So they end up forcing his flash out. The bright side for XL is they're able to secure the Scuttle Crab, which means that they get to maintain equal vision control around the bot river. So an early Drake from the side of Splice is a much harder to set up for now. So there is a bright side, even though there was an over-aggressive play from Mystiques.
We'll see if XL can use the fact they know Splice are more likely to play around that bottom side to do something up towards the top side of the map. Rift Herald does spawn, you know, at 10-minute mark or so, but it's a little bit far away. Maybe a little bit of ideation from me there. Honor's even, 6 minutes in. Both teams just battling back and forth. And I think what we've expected to see is this top side of the map going in favor of XL. You can see CS lead in the mid lane, a little bit of a lead in top. Expect almost got his flash back up. And the bot side of the map has just been pretty even between the two teams.
I mean, in terms of how this game flows, I think both sides have pretty solid scaling, right? Ooh, Mickey right now could be in some danger.
Oh, double stun's going to land with a flawless duet. Jumping around, misses the Vanguard jet. There's Humanoids actually, and now Mickey's got his own, but there's no man on him. He's going to flash forward to try and take down Xerxes. He'll get the kill. He'll get taken down in return, and it's a 1-for-1 trade.
Ends up being a mispositioning play there from Mickey, but he ends up getting a 1-for-1 overall. That ultimate from Aurelia caught me off guard, given that it came out from Humanoid, but then Mickey was able to land his own, and that set up for the play onto Xerxes. And the thing about Kiana, very squishy early on into the game, and Aurelia, one of the best duelists, especially if she can stack up her passive. So you can see here, she doesn't have pressure anywhere on the map, which means Aurelia in this situation very easily able to get collapsed upon. But due to a couple of missed skill shots, they can't actually commit. They think that with Mickey having no mana, he can't force this play, but he's like, you know what, screw it, I'm going for this play. He could have just disengaged. He could have just backed out, but he wanted the kill. He wanted to try and send a message to Xerxes, and I think he does it just perfectly. Was it worth it? Debatable. Because now you can see the CS gap was closed between Humanoid and Mickey. Still favorable towards Mickey, but Humanoid was able to close that gap just a little bit. But still, you get a kill onto that Aurelia, you get more gold into her back pocket, and now she has the completed Tiamat for extra wave clear, which makes it even easier for her to gain priority in that lane.
And that's the thing we'll have to track. Was that kill worth it? Was the 600 gold lead that we have on Mickey over Humanoid in that mid lane enough to impact this game? Because otherwise, he's burnt his flash, he's mispositioned, got caught out, had the opportunity to get away, and decided, no, I'm going to try and take the kill instead. Humanoid still has his flash. We'll see if that comes back to bite Mickey in the next 5 minutes or so.
Looking at what teleports are available right now, none are up, but expects will be up first. So if we were to see any kind of cross-map play, you'd expect it to come out from XL. Maybe once that TP is up, they can look for a Drake play towards the bot side of the map if they wanted to. But notice how Kadril, once he resets off the map, will be going towards his red buff. And right now, his top side is getting pushed in, and this is going to force Vizicachi to overextend. This means that Kadril could look for a gank up towards the top side of the map. There is a flash available on Chachi, so at the very least they can try and burn that summoner spell. Or he could look to just try and assist his mid lane, or allow Mickey to continue this push and potentially look for a rook.
Cersei will be trying to work out how to answer Kadril wherever he is on the map, just clearing his bottom side jungle. His Gromp is available for him if he wants it, and that is where he's going to path right now. Has Caulfield's Warhammer and the completed Stalker's Blade. And now they're both going to meet in the river. Kadril won't know that Xerxes spotted him out. He's standing on a ward now. Could just be looking for a counter gank here. The flawless duet doesn't land. Humanoid able to dodge away. And here comes Xerxes. Abscon's going to land. Here's Expect coming down from the top side, though, and maybe Humanoid's overstepped. There's the flash away. Able to escape to live another day.
Surprised that Humanoid tried to go for that, but notice on the mini-map, Expect doing what he often does, made that roam down. Yes, he loses a wave, and he'll lose a bit of gold and experience, but he's there to support his team, and it could have converted into a kill, and maybe some turret plates onto that mid lane tower. So, great example of what Expect often likes to do, and honestly, a bit of an overstep there from Humanoid, trying to force that fight, as Humanoid now goes in onto Mickey.
Remember, there's no flash on the Aurelia. He's going to try and dodge around here as Mystiques is in range, looking for the Devour, gets it out just in time, but he expects Mickey back out. Mickey gets a kill, now Snowball's coming out, and XL have turned this one around. Xerxes trying to trade in. It's two! It's two for XL!
And XL find the outplay. Mickey, exquisite performance from his Aurelia. Huge credits to Mystiques as well, arriving at just the right time to keep his mid laner alive. Beautifully done from this XL squad.
I was my heart was in my mouth for a second there, Vedius. Mystiques had flash, didn't do it. Just held on to the Devour for as long as possible. But this play from Mickey in this Alienware replay was insane.
So, notice here how Xerxes uses the ultimate, but he does not find that stun onto Mickey. It goes around the outside of the terrain, doesn't land that CC. Mystique gets notice how Mickey gets spit out and goes to the all-in rather than tries to escape. He then gets a bit of health back from both the Corrupting Potion and the Rune that I forget the name of, that gives you health back once you get a kill.
I know the one you mean, but I can't remember it either.
The crowd is trying to help us, but
Yeah,
we can't hear them through our headset.
Triumph!
Triumph!
I knew that. That wasn't the crowd. That was me.
We knew what it did. We forget the name. But honestly, extremely well played by Mickey. That was like a perfect example of knowing your limits and being able to find that outplay. Really good stuff and very much needed for XL in this early game.
And when the play was starting off, I was like, oh, Mickey's going to pay for not having his flash from that earlier play, but he was able to outplay Splice. Now XL have a 1,000 gold lead. Mickey has a 30 CS lead in the mid lane, and XL, their early game, once again, is coming to fruition.
I mean, it is costing Expect a little bit because Kent just keeps trying to roam down to try and support his team. But in the end, it's benefiting XL overall. Mickey is in now such a good spot. He can threaten in side lanes. Their team fighting is going to be very solid once they get a couple of major items completed. And yeah, XL is in a great position right now. Xerxes has not been able to find the same early lead that he found on the Kiana last time round. He is not hyper-fed, but he's still looking for plays.
Teleport coming in here by Splice. They're looking for the fight as Vizicachi's going to join the fray. Just trying to get away. Mystique's down towards the bottom side. Kadril uses the EQ, but Splice really can't collapse too easily on this. Mystique still has the flash. He's going to use it across the wall. Dodges out from the abscond. Splice will turn back towards the dragon. And
that TP usage immediately gives Splice priority over the Drake. I love that setup because they already knew that Expect TP'd up towards the top sides. Vizicachi had the TP advantage, and they could set up a flank. By securing this dragon, they get a bit of control back over the map, and now they're in a great position.
Does give Expect just that little bit of time in the top lane, takes a plate, gets some gold back in his pockets after roaming around a lot. He had fallen behind, and he's going to be in a little bit better shape for now. Abyssal Voice used towards the mid lane as Humanoid. Going to try and dodge away from Kadril, manages it. CHÂU coming in from the side, and Splice might want to continue taking this fight. Xerxes nowhere near it though, and so it would be a 3v2, and Splice decides to back away.
So right now, as we approach the mid-game, these plates are going to start to fall off. Expect is going to be able to pick up some of the gold that he's been losing in the early plays. Yes, it did result in a Drake going over in favor of Splice, but XL have actually been able to extend the gold lead just a little bit more. You can already see that there's a huge gold advantage in the back pocket of Mickey, thanks to those 2 kills that he did pick up and the 40 CS lead. But even though Expect is about a wave down, he's actually been able to equalize the gold thanks to those plates that he can pick up. And the bot lane, the safe style that they decided to go for, has been working out very nicely for them. They've been farming very well, and overall XL have played a pretty flawless early game. Outside of the one death that we saw from Expect up towards the top side of the map and a couple of oversteps that we've seen from Mystiques, XL have been very clean, and now they're trying to maximize these plates as they secure mid-town.
Take all 5 in the mid lane just before that timer runs out. 14 minutes, plates fall. It's 13-14, so XL will use that refill to get a 2,000 gold lead. Probably has a little bit of time down towards the bottom lane to get a plate of his own, but it's not going to answer back too much. And there's been such a transformation in XL over the last few weeks of this split. Because at the start of the split, they were one of the worst teams in the league. Root's going to land here, on towards Expect. Should be able to get away from CHÂU.
I mean, Karma doesn't really have kill pressure.
You say, I mean, CHÂU's positioning it as if he has kill pressure right now.
I mean, like, he could threaten, but one of the things, it's the same principle behind a Shen, right? Like, he only does so much damage, he needs a full combo to really kill you. Speaking of
awesome! Oh, kill pressure comes out. CHÂU will go down in response.
All right, that doesn't count.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Expect ran into CHÂU, hoping that he would get the shield off of his ultimate.
Did CHÂU kill Expect in a 1v1?
Killed.
So he had pressure to kill him.
All right, Medic. All right. Technically, he had kill pressure if Expect made a mistake. I'll give you that one. But XL traded 1-for-1. I don't know if that was really worth it, to be honest. We're going to get a quick replay. Let's have a look at it. So Expect sees that his jungler's coming, but Vizicachi knows his jungler is here, and so what he wants is the shield from his ultimate, and he doesn't get it, because you have to be in the air to get that shield.
I anticipated the bad flash into Root, yeah.
And Vizicachi is able to get that kill. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall. Now we're kind of looking at what are the options the teams have on the map. Because Mickey found that early first tower mid, he's given the freedom to get pushed all the time and can start roaming around the map. But of course, due to some good vision from coming out from the side of Splice, they have good awareness of where Mickey is trying to look for roams. But they have caught Mystiques, he has no plan.
And once again, it's Mystiques getting caught out. The Root will land here. Xerxes exhausted up. Cobby's on his way as well. Kadril's coming down. Mickey's about to join the fight. Jessica jumps forward into Cobby. Might have been a little bit too eager there. Has to flash away. and Splice will win out in the bottom lane.
So quite a few times now we've seen some mispositionings from this bot lane from XL. Mystique's being the main culprit as he's constantly trying to get vision when he doesn't have pressure, and Xerxes just been sitting there lying in wait looking to try and punish him, and they need to shore up these mistakes because we've seen multiple times XL as a team get these early leads but then make that crucial mid-game mistake that ultimately costs them a game. Maybe they don't fully utilize their pressure, maybe they don't threaten multiple sides, they just group up as a 5-man. Maybe they try to force a fight that they can't actually win. And these kind of positioning errors, if they keep making them, Splice is not the kind of team that will just allow you to get away with it. So XL need to make sure that each member is cleaning up their playstyle if they want to try and find this win and then move forward towards play.
Totally agree with you there, Vedius. I do want to have a look at it from Splice's perspective, though, because since Rift Rivals, they have been a very strong early game team. They've tended to take large advantages before the 15-minute mark, usually about 2,000 gold ahead. This game, they're 2,000 gold behind. Usually they're getting a lot of kills early on, dying less. But recently, well, in this game specifically, they seem to have struggled a little bit against XL, and Splice's mid-game has never been their forte.
No, it has not, so we'll see how well XL can punish it, because a lot of this early game advantage often comes off the back of Xerxes and how he plays around Humanoid, and now they're looking for a play, but Mickey and Kadril are here to answer, and again we see Xerxes has not been able to find that same level of impact on his Kiana. He can't find those ganks, he can't find those snowballs, and while he has tried to play around mid, ultimately it's not resulted in success, and Mickey has been the one finding a lot of great outplay. So props to Mickey. You can see how much value he's bringing on this Aurelia. Trinity Force now completed. XL can start looking for fights if they want to. They've hit a lot of big item spikes, and they're in a very powerful position right now.
They definitely are. CHÂU's still pushing in, expecting the top lane. We anticipate this tower going down pretty soon. Expect really can't do too much against CHÂU's wave pressure. You can see Jessica and Mystique's move towards mid lane for the moment by XL.
So keep your eyes on the teleports right now. CHÂU's is just about to come out. Cobbies is unavailable, but Mickey is on his way down, and because Expector's just backed, he's in a position where he can look to teleport and support the rest of his team as well. Because XL have mid pushed in, they know roughly where many of the members of Splice are, so the likelihood is this Drake won't be contested, and they'll be able to walk this one away for free. So great setup there from XL. Now they need to regain control back over the map. So they'll look to push out mid, they'll look to control top, and they'll look to try and attack Humanoid, who right now is pushing out this bot wave.
It's gone a little bit too deep here as Mickey and Kadril on their way. EQ combo doesn't quite connect, but there's the Cataclysm. Humanoid's got its flash back up, the Vanguard's edge won't land, and XL will get the summoner out of Humanoid. Mystique's coming down towards this bottom lane. Splice want to take a little bit of a fight. They're not willing to give up this tower too easily. Jesper had to jump across the wall as Noscaring was chasing him down, but Humanoid able to clear out the wave in time. For the moment, Splice will just group up and defend. Mickey in the side lane is definitely where XL want to be focusing. Once again, Mystique's just stayed around just a little bit too long. Has to flash, and it keeps being the same error here from the bottom laner, from the support for XL.
The bright side is that it's not resulting in deaths for Mystiques, but you're right, like, it's a very clear problem that multiple times we've been seeing Mystiques face check a brush, sticking around too long, and ultimately getting punished. And the problem for Splice is that they aren't able to convert it into much. However, if this keeps recurring throughout this game, it could be something that Splice look to try and snowball and leverage off of. So we're now kind of in this mid-game state. A lot of the towers have dropped. XL is obviously in a much better position because they have a 2-to-1 tower advantage, and this means that it's much easier for them to gain priority. So they're looking to now start splitting up the map. What we'll probably start seeing from XL is actually more of a kind of 0-4-1 setup. And by that I mean they'll have 0 people in the top lane, they'll have 4 people in the mid lane, and they'll have 1 person in the bot lane. In order to do, the reason why you do that is because your Mickey is your strong point. Mickey is the player that you ultimately want to try and enable, and this means that if you have pressure mid as your 4, you can rotate either towards him, you can send a couple players towards him, or you can just leave him in his 1v1 where he's expected to win. So ultimately the whole game plan for XL should be right now to just enable Mickey as much as possible.
We'll see if they're able to do that. Mickey's looking up towards that second item. Already has the Trinity Force. Humanoid only sitting on a Proto Belt for himself. You've got the GLP and the Twin Shadows complete on CHÂU. It tends to be the core of a Karma build these days. Sometimes you see an Athene's Unholy Grail or something thrown in there for a little bit more supportive stats. And once again, XL, 0-4-1, bringing people down towards this bottom lane. Trying to help out Mickey, who's used the Flawless Duet. And we'll get hit by the inner flame coming out from CHÂU. Kadril on his way, but CHÂU still has the flash and the Inspire to escape to live another day. XL, you can see the focus they have down towards this bottom side, trying to open up the map by taking that final outer tower.
Yeah, so it's very much as we described. Notice how Expect has pushed in mid lane, the rest of the team is moving down bot lane. It's very much just like, hey Mickey, we're here for you, we'll protect you, we'll take care of you, you just keep doing your thing. And what Splice is looking for is, in an ideal world, they want to kill Mickey.
Yep.
Because if they kill him, then XL can't push forward, they can't look to make plays, and Splice can just buy more time, they can look to scale up. Humanoid on the Silas will get to a point where he offers a lot more value in team fights, even though Xerxes is very much based on an early game jungler with the Kiana. I believe she still scales pretty well, you know? There's a lot of squishy members on the enemy team. If you think about how much armor there actually is on the side of XL, it's only the Jarvan, which means you have a huge amount of burst and team fight power with the likes of your ultimate. So I do feel like Splice, if they can keep the game stalled, they're in a great spot, especially, I didn't even mention the Sivir. So XL, they kind of need to keep the pressure on right now.
Yep. Keep them under the cosh as much as possible. Still a 2,000 gold lead for XL at the 21-minute mark. Do you want to bring attention, as you say, to Kobe, who's built himself up a 900 gold lead, almost 1,000 gold lead over Jeskla, has hit those two items with the Essence Reaver and the Rapid Fire Cannon. Kedra looking to catch out Humanoid, but can't actually connect with anything. Didn't want to use the Cataclysm when Humanoid still had the Abscond. And now XL say, okay, we've opened up bottom side of the map, you have to try and counter push that, and we're going to play up towards the Baron instead.
Now again, I want to draw people's attention to the minimap, and notice how XL have set up so much vision control around the Baron. They wanted to threaten a sneak or maybe look for a pick, but it's immediately going to get spotted out, and now they're committing. And this could be very dangerous for XL, as we see the teleport in from his Itachi.
Make or break, Supreme Despair Town will land one stun. You can see on the front line, Northgaren is caught out, True Barrage coming out, Cadril trying to jump onto the back line, Expect goes in, Jessica takes down Northgaren on the back line, though Humanoid has caught out Jessica. The kill's coming in for XL as Mickey pops off. A double comes out, and it's one more on top. XL clean up Splice around the Baron.
The turn and burn from XL was beautiful. We said they needed to force a play. They knew that they could take a fight right now, and they execute upon it beautifully. XL are challenging our top team in Europe right now, and they are showing Europe that they can still make that run for playoffs.
And it's so often we've seen, you know, teams like Splice, like CHÂU mess up on Baron players like that. That was clean from XL.
So notice how Mickey does get stunned up initially by the Kiana ultimate, but everyone else doesn't. The clear call from XL is turn. Humanoid has not set up a good flank, and he's not really threatening anyone, which means this initial fight is a 5v4. Then he goes onto the backline. He can't find the kill onto Mystiques, onto Jessica rather, because Mystiques is there to support him. Meanwhile, Mickey is just ripping through the backline because Cadril and Expect have already brought their CC and done all the setup to allow Mickey to carry.
And with Mickey basically being an AD assassin right now, yes, Aurelia's a bruiser, but the amount of damage he has makes him into an assassin champion. Against so many squishy members, it's very easy for him to shred through that backline. You're looking at a Karma, you're looking at a Sivir. If you get rid of a Nautilus, no one else on Splice can really stand up against Mickey.
I'm just so impressed with how XL are playing this game right now. Mickey had a fantastic early game, and it wasn't actually a matter of Cadril playing around him. He was just outplaying his opponents. He played that beautifully. The mid lane gank that was set up by Splice. Ooh, speaking of plays.
Bitter Voyage comes out. Xerxes will stun up Expect and Mystiques against the wall, but XL just using this to get vision and pressure down towards this bottom lane. And Xerxes and CHÂU are going to try and defend. Mickey not really able to step up too close to the tower. They'll wait for Expect to back away, and then he will go out and push out top. It's a 1-3-1 with Mystiques and Cadril roaming throughout the jungle, and Mickey playing down towards that bottom side. Xerxes trying to answer the unstoppable force that is this Aurelia.
So Expect is likely just going top to catch the wave, and the moment it's cleared out, he'll look to try and group up with the rest of his team, because again, XL want to try and stay as close to each other as possible. They're so much stronger in this group scenario that the further apart they are, the greater the risk of them getting picked off. So what you'll likely see Expect do is maybe even look for a teleport soon with this Baron buff. It's very easy for them to break into the base and start threatening the Nexus of Splice.
And something XL have done well in the last few weeks is using the Baron buff to its ultimate potential. Already taken 2 towers off it, now they're going down towards the bottom side. Teleport's going to come in, using that TP to keep the minions alive. Cadril trying to step forward, be that front line for the team. Mickey still there. Nico gobbled up, spat out to the back of the team, and Splice able to disengage for the moment. Humanoid still on the way to Vanguard's edge, and XL do not have a wave to play with. The back will come from Mickey, but he can teleport back in, now has a GA to resurrect him if the fight goes awry.
feel like XL playing exactly how we expect of them right now. And again, like, look, they don't care about the top wave. Excuse me. They're entirely playing around both bot and mid to try and break into the base.
Just want to take down one of these inhibitor towers. Mickey on the front line, Gavin going in onto Mystiques, but the Stick Scheme will come out. Mickey jumping in, look at Zelasi, who's almost down. Mickey lands the Vanguard's edge, but he's trying to take down the jungler. Can't quite get there in time. The rest of XL have to come in and help out. Their mid laner, the GA comes out, Mystiques spat out, but he can come back from the GA. Jessica will get a triple kill on the Ezreal as Mickey was just distracting all of Splice throughout the fight. The tower not quite down yet, but as soon as the wave arrives, XL will break open the base of Splice. And 25 minutes in, XL have almost an 8,000 gold lead over the second team here in the LEC. They look dominant.
They do. That dive was a little haphazard, though. I feel like that they didn't need to force the play. I feel like they got a little overeager. Fortunately, because of the gold advantage that they do have, they were able to get away with it. But just look at how hard they commit to this play. So, the engage comes in initially from North Garen, and then Kadro immediately dives onto the backline. Absolutely no one could follow him because of the positioning of North Garen, and now Mickey is basically left isolated. Because he's level 16 on an Aurelia with GA, he's effectively able to 1 versus 4, which is why they're able to get away with this dive. But this could have been very dangerous for them. So I would have liked to have seen XL play the slightly slower game, but in the end, they do still get the inhibitor. They still do walk away happy, and now they have the last 2 lanes that they can look to play through.
I totally agree with your analysis of the situation, but if I'm in XL's head right now, I'm saying, played good early game, our mid game has been strong, let's not let Splice get to the late game. Let's close this game out as soon as possible, have a Baron wave pushing in, let's try and end the game here and now. And that makes sense to me, because we asked, can they play through the mid game?
But the dangers that you always have to be careful of is if you mess up a play like that, that is how Splice come back in. Which is why I'm always evaluating XL and looking like how patiently are they playing, and they're taking their time. And they've done so many things well this game. I would hate to see them throw that away because they're being overzealous or greedy. And right now their setup is good. Notice how the bot wave is slowly pushing in with the super minions. They've already started the push up top, and now they're threatening the top tier 2. All they're doing is buying time and waiting for the Baron to respawn. They know they have full control over the topside jungle. The inhibitor furthest away from the Baron is the one that's threatening the base of Splice, and so they're in a prime position pretty much to control the entire game right now. Everything is in XL's hands.
Definitely is. XL, the current holders of the unofficial World Championship belt as well. In case you don't know what that is, Fnatic won it when they won the first ever World Champion, and then whoever beat them took it away. Mystiques will gobble up Kadro. Whoever beat Fnatic would take it away, and it just got passed down and passed down. Eventually G2 won it off SKT at MSI, and now XL hold it after beating Misfits last week. I'm sure Splice would have wanted to get their hands on it, but it doesn't look like today is their day, as XL will hold on to it for a game longer. Yeah, Mickey tanking up the tower, that was bad. I agree with you there.
He's a level 17 Aurelia, and he's very happy right now. 4-1 and 4. He's had an excellent game. A lot of props to him. But like, I honestly feel that the whole team from XL has they just played very well as a team. If I'm going to throw criticism at anyone, it is Mystique's the amount of time that he got caught out, but how can I criticize him when he wasn't dying, right?
Because he did have to burn his flash. He was burning summoners for it.
So right now, Splice are looking to try and challenge the Baron. This is the best case scenario for them, and they're just kind of clumping up and grouping to force their way into the river so they can gain some vision and try and challenge. They have multiple teleports available. They can send anyone off to a side lane, and they want to try and buy as much time. If they can just steal that Baron away or delay it, then they can get to a point where maybe they can win some fights. But it's going to be tricky. Like, Kobe, doesn't matter, even as many items as he has, against a level 17 Aurelia, there's only so much you're going to be able to do.
And you wonder if XL could just 2 or 3 man the Baron as well. Like, Jessica and Mystiques here could just hold mid. Mickey is strong enough, expecting Kadro go across. They've cleared out the vision, they're going to start it up. And Splice are going to have to answer. It's Kobe who's answered the wave in the bottom lane. Splice, no vision as of yet. Jessica's jumping forward, doing some damage to North Garen, has to jump away. Splice are giving up. They say, we can't fight you today. Taking too much damage, and this will be XL's second Baron of the game. 29 minutes in, almost cresting the 30-minute mark. They have a 9,000 gold lead. And right now, going through their minds must be, well, looks like it's going to be a 3-game winning streak for us.
Beautifully done by XL, honestly. That was the kind of patience and clean play I wanted to see from XL, and the setup was good, the wave management was good, the vision was good. Very little to criticize from the side of XL, and Jeskla utilizing Ezreal how I feel you need to utilize Ezreal. Sit in Fog of War, you have vision of the enemy, just keep landing poke. Northscaren, pretty much the main front line of Splice, was chunked out. He couldn't even approach, which is what forced Splice to disengage. So now XL, the last thing they got to do is end it.
Yep.
And there is 5 players and 2 inhibitors and a Nexus standing in their way, but they have all of the tools in order to end this game and keep their playoff hopes alive.
So let me just ask about exactly how they do that, because you have, earlier on we saw the 0-4-1, Mickey in a side lane, the rest of XL in mid lane. Inhibitor in the bottom lane is about to respawn. Do XL do that same 0-4-1 strategy here?
Yes, I think they do. I think you don't really want to play far away from each other. You already see that top is slowly pushing in your favor anyway, so they can look to rotate back up to there if they want to. However, their main priority is to just enable Mickey, keep him off on a side lane, utilize that Baron to threaten the inhibitor tower. And what Splice will look to do is try and force a 5v5 before Mickey is in a position to actually threaten that inhibitor. Unfortunately for them, they've missed that very brief window. And this is where oh, maybe they haven't.
He's going to get hooked up, knocked into the wall with the stun, and Mystics is dead. Couldn't pop the thick skin. Mickey jumping in, though, the Vanguard's edge. Will he go in? Will he find the Pop Blossom? That's huge! That connects on all of them! Tommy trying to escape, but the double comes in for Expect. Add one on for Mickey for good measure. Humanoid trying to get away, but Splice have fallen apart in their own base. And XL will take the inhibitor and will look towards that Nexus.
I thought Splice had found the window. I thought they'd finally found the kill onto Mystiques. Unfortunately, XL were ready to fight. And the flash in from Expect, the engage from Kadril. Before I called it overzealous, this time I call it knowing your limits. And XL played that beautifully. They now have the Nexus in their eyes and then looking to take the win.
It would be an almighty defense here from Humanoid and Northscaren. If they can do it, it would be incredible. But XL have the win in their eyes. Pop Blossom won't connect. Northscaren's already dead and Humanoid knocked up. He's done for as well. Goes golden for a second, but the Nexus towers fall up beside him. And it's easy enough stuff here for XL as they continue what would be a miraculous playoff run as they defeat Splice.